I was watching. You know where all the fat guys are playing? They're on the DP World Tour. Movie.
Oh, Effie Barnrat's there. That's where Effie Barnrat is.
I don't know if Affy Barnrat, Kiridash Affy Barnrat, was the favorite golfer of the show. We would always root for him. He traditionally would be somewhat in contention after one round and then fade because he was stuffing his face with Laspada original hoagies, while the other guy is eating like 2 bites of a banana and then folding the peel back on it and giving it to his caddy. There's that Barnrat. He's got like a French dip dripping from his face. He's asking his caddy not whether he should hit a 7 or an 8 iron, but for more juice.
He's just drinking the old Jew. He didn't give a shit about the putt.
Did he use the belly putter? That would have only been appropriate. We used to bring him up to every golfer that we had on the show, every golf analyst.
He was classic to watch, the guy. Like, Stadler actually wasn't that fat. He was just like a bigger dude. Like, Affy Barnrat was fat. Like, he was a big ass.
Just fat. I mean, the first time I saw the guy, I was like, no, this can't be like the PGA Tour. Can you imagine when he was at the Players Buffet where the guy takes like half an egg? And there's that Barnrat just taking whole trays over to his table.
Weighs like 80 pounds.
All those guys are on the DP World Tour now, Lubie, if you're a fan of golf.
The time! Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest. We got a very busy Michael Lubitz and a busy agenda, a busy schedule for you here today. A lot of things to get to on the sporting front. I don't know that we're going to go into the headlines, maybe just categories today, Lubie, or many different things happening across the wide landscape of sport. And, of course, our opinions are changing on a daily basis when it comes to this was largely a premature evaluation, was it not, when we started trying to handicap bracketology for the NCAA tournament, seeing as we don't even know what the brackets are yet. But why not futile speculation to try and get people steered in the wrong direction? So at the very least, they have our picks as a platform to go ahead and use as a guide to go in another direction, because everything we've been talking about so far has gone up in smoke, including ignoring them guiders who were targeted and ticketed to be a second seed. I found that surprising, seeing as they were ranked number 3 in the country. Lubie, did you think that was a bit of an oversight on these bracketologists who seem to have a pretty good handle? I mean, when you're talking about the top guys in the business, I found through our good friend Chris Visser that everybody is a bracketologist, Lubie. If you have failed at anything else that you've done in life, you become a bracketologist, and you become one of the top guys, one of the top 100 guys in the country. I don't know that, does it go 10 deep, the number of top-notch, accurate, to be respected bracketology experts? It seems like they're fairly close, especially with the top teams. Are they not? What do you think? How are you, by the way?
I'm well. Good morning. Top bracketology. I mean, look, Joe Lunardi is one everyone talks about, and I don't trust anything he says. So, like,
really? You're not a fan of Joe Lunardi? Because I tend to accept that, okay, so ESPN has been pumping this guy. He must be the second coming of Mel Kiper. And even though Kiper was way off on a lot of things, because didn't you always love that when Kiper was on the set and he was absolutely stunned? He said, they absolutely have to take this guy. If they don't take this guy, they should fire everybody in the front office. And then they take some schmo that was never mentioned by any of the people on the panel. And Kiper's hair stands up like Don King, and he proclaims that this is a disaster. Then he gets into it, like a big argument with remember Bill Polian and Mel Kiper going at each other? And Polian basically asserts the idea that, what do you know, Kiper? You haven't got a fucking clue what you're talking about, or a clue. Sorry about that. I should go back to my Slovenian swear words, Lubie. No, that was pretty tough to pronounce. I don't even think I was even close on that. Tristo Kazmati Medvedev, which only reminds me that the Indian Wells tournament, I think, either got underway yesterday or gets underway today. But anyway, so we've been kind of blind there on our picks. We tell you don't overlook Auburn, even though they're chalk.
Yes.
Feeling kind of stupid about that, because anybody can give you the favorite. And if the favorite wins, do you look all that smart, Lubie? Is it something that you get on the air the next day and say, I told you, Bruce Pearl, man, he had all the answers?
No, you're right, but you don't brag about it. I mean, duh, thank you. They were the number 1 seed. the number one team.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to sit there and proclaim yourself to be the best prognosticator in the world. You're no Billy Walters at that point.
Exactly.
But so Auburn loses, of course, in their ensuing game. Right after we made that. Uh, what would it be? It would be a deduction, I guess it would be.
Yeah, you didn't predict anything. You just figured at the way they played, where they ranked. Yeah, I mean, it was
They
logical.
look good. They look good to me. Okay, so what do I know about college basketball? I wouldn't say next to nothing, but it's bordering on that. And I think I'm in the same boat as everybody else. Now the Gators all of a sudden are a favorite team of all of my handicapping buddies. They're all jumping on the Gator bandwagon. Now we live in Florida, and of course, many of these guys come from Florida. I don't know that they have the same disposition towards the Gators that we've had over the years. I've been an enemy of the Gator Nation. I mean, think about that, Lubie. I was actually sounds like something that might happen in modern times, where you become an enemy of the state. To the point where, I mean, I was spoken of in very disparaging and unflattering terms on Gator Hotline a couple of times, and actually acknowledged by Steve Spurrier.
That's so funny.
Who was not as friendly and likable of a character as he later became when he was coaching South Carolina, and he didn't flat out care anymore because he already had enough of the Redskins money to fuel his golf adventures for the rest of his life. If he didn't have it already, I'm sure he was among the highly paid coaches when he was with them Gators and running the Fun and Gun. But what was highly paid back then, Louis? Was a coach making $1 million? Back in the day when Spurrier was coaching college football, $1 million. Now they're $10 million a pop, and who knows where it really goes from there. But anyway, changes at the top there. Tennessee loses. Tennessee, oddly, ranked behind the Gators in the AP poll and the coaches poll, was actually being accorded a number 1 seed by many of these bracketology guys. And they have now been leapfrogged in that category by the Florida Gators. So the Gators could be a number 1 seed, definitely a team to watch. It played well all year long, and a big win over a fading Alabama team. Well, what do you make of that, Lubie? Alabama's slumping at the wrong time. It's kind of like Sam Darnold syndrome when they're about to hand you just a platter full of money. Not that Darnold hasn't made his share of money, but they're about to wheel it in a wheelbarrow with the Minnesota Vikings. They're about to tell J.J. McCarthy, hey, listen, J.J., we like in the preseason there, but you're done. You're finished, man. We got this kid now. He's finally blossomed. He fits everything that we're trying to do. And then he started sailing passes all over the place. A key game at the end of the season against the Lions.
Yeah, he came back to the pack. Yep.
Yeah, that was very important, critical in terms of seeding for the postseason. And he looks like the wild thing. Mitch Williams out there firing balls over people's heads by 3-4 feet. And then he comes back in the playoff game and does the very same thing. So are 2 games enough? 2 really bad games. Are they enough to erase the body of work that you did in the first 17 when you would have to say that Sam Darnold, like him or not, and he seems like a very likable guy. I know he was on the Jets, so a lot of people really didn't care for him. They were rooting for his demise and his collapse. He starts becoming somewhat of a vagabond, a nomad. He's a complete unknown, traveling around different circles there. Ends up, with the 49ers even? I mean, he had a little cameo, cup of coffee there. Comes back now to Minnesota out of desperation. Comes in because they were going to start the rookie, whether or not J.J. McCarthy was going to be the starter.
Yeah, no, he was playing. I wasn't the biggest fan, but they liked what he was bringing in camp and all that, and then he got hurt beginning of preseason.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, what do you think those meetings were like when they started thinking, well, we're going to have to start Sam? You think they were loaded and laced with promise? I don't know. And then he has a remarkable year. I mean, the guy was playing as well as any quarterback in the league. I don't know if that's any deep illuminating statement, but he was great. And those last 2 games, so what do you think? What did that leave the taste in your mouth that if you were looking for a free agent quarterback, you would be less inclined to take a shot on Sam Darnold? Now, there are many teams that are going into the season without a quarterback, period. So he would be an attractive free agent. He was not franchise tagged by the Minnesota Vikings. They're willing to say sayonara. And we don't know what. Have you heard anything about McCarthy? He's been more spirited away than Nico Harrison. Easier to find the gravesite of Jimmy Hoffa than it would be to find these people. But nonetheless, you have an interesting scenario there because you have a guy that buried himself in 2 ball games. Somebody's got to take a shot, right? I mean, if you're the New York Giants and you're going into the season without any prospect, they don't pull off a draft day deal. They don't get Cam Ward. They don't get Shador Sanders. Why is Shador Sanders' stock souring so much, Libby? Is that just media speculation?
I mean, the reason he was so high was his dad. Like, he's an average quarterback. If you look at his stats, he put up nice numbers, but he has an average to below average arm. He's not athletic. He's pretty accurate, but it's not like he's tool level accuracy. Like, he's not all world accuracy. He's an average quarterback. He without that name, he'd be a second, third round pick. I mean, the fact that his dad's Deion Sanders and his dad's loud, and he put up nice numbers and played with Travis Hunter, and they got a lot of attention and boosted him a lot. I mean, he's a second round, third round. He's not a starter in the NFL. I mean, he's a backup. Cam Ward is
going to be the second guy picked in all likelihood. Although this Jackson Dart supposedly is zooming up the board.
Second quarterback, yeah, but
yes,
he's looking late first, early second. Like Shador Sanders has plummeted in draft boards. Yes, he may be the second quarterback because this is one of the worst quarterback classes we've ever seen. Like Cam Ward in any other class would have been like a late first round pick. There's no other this quarterback class sucks.
Remember when the interview thing was being touted as the most important thing? And that seems, at least from the assertions that I'm reading in various columns describing what went on. The Combine Chronicles. You were supposed to do this, Lubie, but once again, you shirked all responsibility of the show and didn't even watch 1 second of the thing. I don't even think you saw Rich Eisen run the 40-yard dash.
No,
does he do this anymore? See, now that is something that's been taken, unless I'm not watching enough NFL TV, that was always the highlight. I'm not a big Rich Eisen fan. He seems to be a little pompous, doesn't he? And then we could never get by. I mean, this is also in keeping with current philosophies that we're seeing expressed at the highest of levels. But we're not inclined to forgive him for nixing our chance to host his national show when an unfortunate incident happened where he checked with his guys and they found somebody they liked better, that they were more familiar with, even though we were being highly touted by a national producer who had put us on the Nick and Artie show. And we had done very well, right? We started to eclipse other people that were actually of some level of acclaim.
Robert Wool, we became their favorite fill-in. Robert Wool, who was still a big
Robert Wool
at the time. Our list was years before, but he still was a name. And they had some other people fill in that were decent names, and they didn't get the reaction that we got. Like the show you do was very similar to what Nick and Artie do. It wasn't this sports talk show, and all these other people would fill in doing the sports talk, and Nick and Artie just bullshit for fucking 2 hours. So
hard-hitting sports talk.
Yeah, that just didn't work, and we became the number. Like, we filled in a lot. Like,
we were doing weeks at a time. It was fantastic. They had like a zillion other guys. So that Rich Eisen overrode the decision to have us at least fill in for one day. But I didn't care for him much before that. So
he was Jewish to us in person. He's.
That's right. I remember he was like absolutely like ornery when we had him.
We didn't want him on.
We had him on the Radio Row in San Francisco, and he sat down and acted like a complete ass.
Yeah,
like he had no interest in sitting with us. Now, I understand. Maybe he had done like 4 hours of television that day, and they dragged him around. They schlepped him around to 19 different radio stations. And then he sits down with us, and he figures he's going to get the usual first question. So who do you like in the game?
Yeah, which he didn't do.
But wow, did he seem any more indifferent to the idea that he was – okay, so there's reasons that we don't like it. But I still – I don't hold that against a person. I still think it's the most entertaining thing in the Combine, is it not, to see a guy in a suit and tie trying to run a 40-yard dash while you've just watched, critical decisions being made based on 1/10 of a second in a 40-yard dash, Libby. You could be the fastest guy on the planet, and you're looking, everybody looks the same, don't they? You have a 500-pound lineman. He runs a 4.6, and then you have a fleet defensive back, and he runs a 4.49. I mean, could you really? Is that going to be the differential? That 1/10 of a second or whatever? That these scouts are like, whoa, my God, can you believe that?
I mean, it depends. Look, if a guy's only speed, sure. Like, if a guy's only speed and he runs a 4.9 and he's supposed to run a 4, then yes, that can be an issue. And Quan Bolden, notorious ran like a 4.8, and he dropped to the second round, and he ended up being one of the best receivers in NFL history. Like,
yes,
It depends on, again, if you're an all-around receiver, I think speed only matters so much. If you're a running back, you're an all-around back, it only matters too much. It just depends. But yeah, when the linemen do it, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Yes, corners where speed's a big deal. But again, we've seen it. If you can learn how to play the position, you can make up for it. So it's not the end all be all. You're right. Look, the Rich Eisen thing, which I haven't seen in years, was always a highlight just to see this
Absolute
dude
number one highlight.
in a suit running it was ridiculous. And
probably posting a better time than Brady, who went on to become, in many people's opinion, the greatest quarterback ever to play the game. So it shows you what that will tell you. All right, so here's the thing. Just wrapping up that college football thought, because somehow we got sidetracked there to Sam Darnold and the fact that 2 games can bury your chances of. He's still probably going to get offered a reasonably high contract, like maybe $100 million. So who am I to sneeze at that, Lubie? But still, it did seem like the weight of those 2 games, I think, left much more of an indelible impression than the previous 17. You're only as good as your last film, kid.
If I'm
yeah, go ahead.
If I'm another franchise without a quarterback, I take a shot at him. If I'm the Vikings, who liked McCarthy, and at the end of the year, he showed sort of what we had seen from him before, I wouldn't pony up the money up. You have a rookie guy. You have a really talented team with a quarterback on a rookie deal, which is the way you win in this league.
Yes.
Or at least get winning franchises started. Darnold's going to demand a lot more money than McCarthy's getting. So you have a guy that you like on a rookie deal. Like it's simple. If I'm Minnesota, I'm not giving him the money, which they didn't. But if I am the Giants, who have an interesting team, have some talent, are trying to turn the corner, and outside of Cam Ward, who probably will go 1 and they don't have the number 1 pick, like I wouldn't reach on any of these quarterbacks. And there's no one in this draft people are giving you a haul for in a trade, right? So I would try and beef up the offensive line or the defensive line with the draft pick, and then maybe give a shot at a Darnold, because you'll get him for a lot of money, but it won't be a ridiculous deal. So like a team without a quarterback, I could see taking a chance on him, because he did show signs of life. Like he was interesting.
Definitely signs of life. That's a good way of putting it. After sort of being written off as a B- or lower, as even reaching at his peak potential. If he reached that, you still were thinking you have a second-tier quarterback at best. And started to look like he was going to eclipse that, but unfortunately, no. So anyway, we were looking at a little juxtaposition there. You have them Gators now all of a sudden being a favorite of many people and appearing certainly capable. It's interesting because the shrouding of controversy, the shadow of it that they were operating under there with Todd Golden, and don't you feel a little squeamish when you're looking at like the old Joe Philbin thing? Don't you feel a little bit squeamish, Lubie, when the allegations and the assertions are of a bizarre sexual nature? Which they said he was in violation of Title IX. That means what? Todd Golden was supposedly bedding down co-eds. What were the accusations there? And he was completely exonerated by a Gator investigative group, and but has his team playing some pretty good basketball. So that's something to take a look at. Michigan loses Dusty May, his star fading there at Michigan, Lubie. Remember just a couple of weeks ago when we said, "Oh yeah, look at that, they're really good." Then he's come back to the pack a little bit.
Yeah.
Loses to Maryland.
They've lost either a bunch in a row or have struggled a bunch of games in a row.
Yeah, where's my man? Vlad Golden. He had a big ball game yesterday in that defeat, 20 points, 15 rebounds. This was a klutz. That's good coaching, Lubie. I don't care if he wins the national championship or makes it back to a Final Four. You would have to say that whoever was working with Vladimir Golden, is it Vladimir or is it Vladimir? Vlad Golden.
Vlad,
Doesn't he look like he came off the Munsters or something? As a twin brother,
100%.
100%. He does. I mean, and that's a typical odd that you see out there that trips over his own feet as he's in the paint there. Little guards blow by him for layups. People are dunking in his face. Rebounds go right over his head, even though he's got inside position. Ball falls to the floor. The minute he gets his hands on the ball, somebody swats it out of there. Goes, triggers a fast break the other way. He was that type of klutz.
Yes.
And became does he not remind you a little bit even of, I don't know that he's as offensively diverse as Zach Edey might have been, but
he's not Edey.
He's a little bit of Zach Edey in him, no?
The clodness to a guy that grew, because Edey did grow into a better player and Golden did too. I mean, from what he was early on to what you saw with him at Michigan this year, he's become a legit player where he was just like some big body you threw in. Look, I mean, what May did there and what he's done with Michigan is impressive. It sucks that they've hit this rough patch, but again, this is year one. Like the fact that he even has them relevant from where they were at the end of Juwan Howard's time. You know, it takes time to build something.
He's all business too, isn't he? I mean, did he strike you that way?
Oh yeah, no, and,
not in a bad way. I mean,
he's not a jerk. He gets it, and I think wherever he is, he'll have success, and he's already shown signs there. Maybe they'll right the ship a little bit and be interesting in the tournament. We'll see. They are hitting a very rough patch the last 2 weeks.
And they have a game against Michigan State, who now, at least, even if they lose, they still have a share of the Big Ten title. So, interesting stuff. Louisville, maybe a team to watch. I don't know. Is that possible? They've done a great job there turning that whole stench around and getting rid of that. NBA, Cleveland clinches a playoff spot last night. What is this, March 6th?
Yeah.
March 5th. Now, no great distinction because 20 out of 30 teams make the postseason. I'm assuming they're also including like the possibility of finishing 10th. That's not even a remote possibility that they'll sniff anywhere near the bottom of the playoff rankings there. But they beat the Heat. The Heat were in charge of that game all the way. It was a very typical Heat loss, albeit to a very good team, where in the final few seconds, just in a mind-blowing fashion, things fell apart. And as it looked like they were knocking down the tying three-pointer with just seconds to go in the ball game, turned out, and it was a correct ruling, Duncan Robinson had slid his foot out of bounds. A cross-court pass from the other side of the court. Robinson catches it. Bam Adebayo, your man, Mike Lubitz. If you want to go back and
play out of his mind,
listen to your criticisms of Bam Adebayo, then go back and watch this tape.
Yeah,
well, that would only actually reaffirm what you've been saying, Lubie, is that here's a guy capable of doing this.
Yeah, it annoys me. The games like that actually annoy me because I know he has that. Look, the reality is, and I would normally be talking like you are because I didn't watch it. I actually did it was on ESPN last night. So I actually was like, all right, I kept an eye. They were down by like 15 in the third. So I stopped paying attention. Then they cut it to 3. So I was like, okay, look at them. And then like you're saying, they were in control of the fourth, but they were missing 5 of their top 8, 5, not 3, not 4. The Cavs had their entire roster, and they were missing their second best, or arguably the first best player a lot of this year in Tyler Hero. They were missing their third best player, at times their second best player in Andrew Wiggins. They were missing their 5, 6, 7 best players in Ware, Jaquez, and Jovic. So the Cavs have their whole roster, the number 1 seed in the league right now.
I think Spoelstra is wearing shorts underneath his pants.
Exactly, at home, and the Heat were missing 5 of their top 8. The fact that they were like all the people that questioned Spo and people were like pissed at him. I'm like, what did you? The fact that they were in that game and had a lead with 3 minutes left and were down by 3 with 18 seconds left shows you why he's widely considered not only the number 1 coach in the NBA, but by a lot. Like the fact that he was able to keep them, and the Cavs wanted that. Cavs had won 11 in a row at that point. Like the Cavs weren't fucking around in that game. The Heat, he is so good at doing more with less. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they were in that game and Bam played like that. The Bam that we never see. That was only
he started out. He's firing from the Coke machine. He even made a shot early in that ball game.
It was only his 5th time scoring 30
throughout. Didn't do one of those things where they throw it to him and he sort of had what would have in the old days been a high post position, which does that even exist anymore? He's just past the foul line, left corner there at the key. And then just never faces the basket, never even thinks, doesn't even do a head fake, nothing. And, he wasn't that passive and so dismissive about being part of the offense at any juncture of the game. So that was pretty good. Cleveland, though, third 12-game winning streak. It's a shame. My brilliant theory about J.B. Bickerstaff, I don't know what it takes a genius to think that this guy should be the coach of the year. But Kenny Atkinson is a runaway prohibitive favorite, Lubie. I mean, to the point where you couldn't even consider making this wager. And yet, are there any sympathizers out there with the cause, Lubie? What happened to the little guy? What happened to the underdog? Are we just supposed to embrace people that are at the very top of the ladder and hope that it's true? What a friend of mine said to me many, many years ago, when we decided to initiate workouts so we could make the Israeli Olympic team, Louis, what were the odds of that? We weren't even on college teams. And a buddy of mine and I, he suggests, well, we could never make the U.S. Olympic team, obviously. So why don't we try for the Israeli team? I think they might have had, the father of Duran Sheffer or something back then. So we had no shot of that. But his theory was there's always room at the top. So is there room at the top there? I don't know. But with Spoelstra and the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, it just affirmed once again that I'm looking at Kenny Atkinson. He's sitting back, knowing he's going to eventually take over this game. 12-game winning streak, third time this year. Coach of the year, minus 700. You chalk-eating losers out there. All right. Other things. Harden dropped 50. That's the 24th time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've done that in a long time. That was the first time since he left the Houston Rockets. How many centuries ago was that? James Harden. So still able to do it. Doesn't it look like he's completely out of shape at all times? I mean, you talk about Luka. Never mind that. Whatever restaurant Luka's going to, you would have to think the caloric intake of James Harden. I don't know that he's Oliver Miller, but he certainly doesn't look like he was in the shape he was years ago. I would love to see comparative pictures posted during the course of the game. 24th time he's had 50 or more, Lubie. One back of one Kobe Bryant. Unbelievable. And the Mavericks, is this just media speculation also? Should they not just go ahead and trade Anthony Davis now that Kyrie Irving's going to miss probably all of next year in all likelihood?
I thought Davis isn't playing either.
Well, he's been injured, but wouldn't you think, hey, this plan A, I mean, as I said, Nico Harrison, with a search warrant, you couldn't find this guy right now. Do people actually go? Did they even deliver packages to his office because they're afraid they're lined with explosives? Don't untie that now. Was that the case in Mike Tannenbaum's office? We have Gurgs ready to go. Excellent. We want to do the trivia challenge also here, but just a couple of other quick things. I'm reading about like speculation on what MLB team will get a new stadium next. What do you think about that, Louis? Is there any team that seems to be in desperate need of a ballpark? You would say Tampa Bay, but I don't know that it's going to make any difference, does it?
No, I mean,
Tampa Bay gets a new ballpark. Are people suddenly going to start showing up? Because it all turns out to be BS. Just witness this from your. I didn't realize it was this bad, Louis. Your Miami Marlins, since the opening, is it still called Lone Depot Stadium?
I think so. Lone Depot Park or whatever.
Lone Depot Park, because you need to take out a loan. They actually, instead of parking meters, you apply for a loan, and you put like a quit claim deed in when you park in the garage there. Which don't ever park on the top floor, by the way.
Oh, no, you'll never
more
leave.
than 300 people in attendance.
Never leave.
Disaster when the Yankees were in town. My friend Big Rich is, hey, let's park on the roof.
Oh, that's horrible.
Why do we were ready to jump off the roof before we got out of there, like 2 hours after the game. All right, so here it is, real quickly. The chronicles of the Marlins, since they got their new ballpark, which came with what, Louis? The promise that they were going to be good. They would have money to spend, revenue streams, crowds would be there. Everybody would be happy. People would all be marching down the streets in Marlins gear. And this is not a new song or dance, is it? It seems like it happens all the time, right? Pittsburgh, remember when they had that owner who was kind of an upbeat fellow, and they managed to build this ballpark there, and nothing since, right? They're at the bottom of the league, even with Paul Skeens. Any place that you look, I mean, has it really been, certainly not in South Florida, it's been no salvation. Panthers were mediocre to poor for years after they got their new building. The Heat were already a decent franchise, but and so you could say, I guess they prospered there. But what was the BS they were feeding us about the original Miami Arena that was in existence for like a year and a half?
The Panthers went into a fucking tank after they got their arena.
Yeah, it was bad. So anyway, since 2012, Marlins 69 and 93, 62 and 100, 77 and 85, 71 and 91 the following year. How do they manage to do this? They manage to always follow even a slightly promising season.
Disaster.
By getting smacked in the face. It's amazing. Joe Girardi, 79 and 82, that had to be Girardi. No?
Yep. Yeah, he was manager of the year.
No, that was too far back. Or that might have been, it could have been. 77 85, 63 and 98, 57 and 105.
Oh, my God.
We had Mattingly in the COVID year, 31 and 29. So that was our most successful season. This is in 13 years of having a new ballpark, Lubie. Where's the payoff? Cities in debt to the point where you would rather take on the national debt than take on the debt that's incurred and going to be incurred by and the stranglehold on the city. Who's on the hook for that? County, city, unincorporated area?
I think both. I think city and county.
Who's on the hook for this?
I don't know. I think city and county. But yeah, getting a stadium was supposed to be this cure all, and it's just not. It just isn't. Whatever it is, it's just not. It's not just a South Florida thing. We've seen it across the country. Getting a new stadium, revamping a stadium. Look, Atlanta, and they won before, but they've had like 3 stadiums in the last 20 years. Like
they were building them on a daily basis.
Regardless, like just getting a stadium doesn't mean anything, and it's annoying when taxpayer money goes into it. I don't understand the connection at all. It doesn't build. It will rebuild the thing. Yeah, that's not a.
Shouldn't the city commission just grill these guys like it was a congressional hearing, and you were on the opposite side of whatever party had the floor at the time? And just until you can show us you've hired a competent general manager, you're getting nothing, not a dime.
That's true. They should make it about winning. That in. Yep.
All right. Gurggles ready to go?
Gurggles is right there.
Oh, there he is. All right, great. Dave Gurggles Gergely. How are you, my friend?
Doing wonderful.
All right.
Except for the traffic. I live 0.5 of a mile from the golf course.
Yeah.
I drove 0.3 of a mile, parked my car in a bank parking lot and walked here. So it must be school traffic or something, but wow, it's crazy this morning.
It's getting that way everywhere, though, South Florida.
Yeah.
It's kind of like starting to look more and more like New York City every day, even in areas where there was never any. I mean, the only traffic you had to worry about is some schmuck on a golf cart that was in front of you on A1A. And now it's bumper to bumper everywhere you go. All right, we're going to come back with the trivia challenge. You can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. Little break from this heavyweight sports topical material that we're spewing out here on the program today. Super analytical Mike Lubie's on the show, and me, as usual, all over the place. Hey, what was he talking about? I don't remember. So we have Dave Gurggles Gergely coming up. You can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. For the uninitiated, what are you playing? You're playing probably... I mean, the longest running game show, certainly on any radio platform or streaming platform. Maybe not in its original format right now because we don't have the Polyman, which was a huge part of the success of the program. But you compete for prizes, and Lubie has a gift certificate to Landlubbers. And now, if you're watching this in Indiana somewhere on Bleacher Brothers, I don't know that that's going to do you any good. Maybe
probably work at Texas Roadhouse, which again they have like 600 locations worldwide. So.
There you go.
Anyone watching, I mean, Ed Garcia always willing to work with me. So I don't push the Roadhouse because people love Landlubbers in our area. So it's usually worked doing Landlubbers.
Yeah.
But Roadhouse is definitely national. Like we have like 30.
Oh, no, that would work. Yeah. We were doing that.
I do want to get the national audience in. I love that Bleacher Brothers is engaged. And I will definitely talk to Ed Garcia and get a check mark from him. But we can make a Texas Roadhouse gift certificate work. So if you want to join in and you don't know what a Landlubbers is, again, it's worth it. You could be down here at some point and use it, but a Texas Roadhouse gift certificate can be up for grabs as well if you're not in the South Florida.
Pine Island and Sunrise, right there in the heart of Sunrise, Florida. Great place, though. A real good place. And Lubie has a live trivia thing going on out there. If you are in the neighborhood, it's really a dynamite presentation. He and a professor put that on. All right, so we're going to come back with Dave Gurggles Gergely, the trivia challenge in just a moment here on the Defo Show. Have a little fun as we try to lighten things up. Back in a moment. Now that. The time. It's 8:38. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant. And you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage.
Oh, solo volante will be coming late. Oh, solo volante. The Belmont's now 1.8 miles. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici just switched the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Luca Panici, by the way, our good friend, jockey out of Gulfstream Park for the last many years, been based here in South Florida, of Italian descent. His father was a big-time jockey in Italy for a long, long time. A fashion plate, Gurggles. I mean, I saw him on Pegasus Day. I passed him by as I was roaming around the track there, and I didn't recognize him, man. And then lately, he's been pictured in tuxedos. I think I told him this. I say, your future is not in riding horses. It's in being a fashion model. I mean, the guy, he looks great. So congratulations on that. One note that was worth mentioning, because it involves your Philadelphia Phillies, Dave Gurggles Gergely. This comes from Jim Sarney. And I always love that, the innocuous in-game interview. And I always find it interesting, like you'll have like some sideline reporter in the NBA, and they got to have the coach, and the fourth quarter's actually started. Bodies are flying in the background, and dunks are being made, threes are going down, and the reporter's saying, so what do you think you're going to have to do to change the pace up here in the fourth quarter? You're thinking the guy has to get away from you, number one, and stop this onslaught of scoring that's taking place. But in this case, your man, Rob Thompson, is being interviewed during the middle of the game, and he proceeds during the course of this conversation. The next three hitters for the Tigers hit 3 home runs on the first pitch. So he's literally being spoken to for 3 pitches, and all 3 guys hit home runs off the former Marlin, Jesus Luzardo. So an interesting note there. That may be a trivia question somewhere down the road. All right, let's get to it. Dave Gurggles Gergely, brought to you by Perdomo Cigars. And our first set of questions here in the traditional fashion. You heard from the dulcet tones of the operatic polyman Paul Massell. So in honor of the polyman, once again, we begin the game in the traditional fashion with Dave and some.
Easy baseball. This venerable New York Yankees manager on a player in extended slump sled, that boy couldn't hit sand if he fell off a camel. Who's that? Casey Stengel,
Be careful here now, Gurggles.
Sam Jones, or Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs?
Who was the first one?
Casey Jones.
Okay,
Casey Stengel.
Casey Stengel. Okay, very good. All right, the scrambler, that's the random phone scrambler, that sound effect that you hear, and it's arbitrary how we pick up our first player. It turns out to be Mike. You're on a trivia challenge. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning. I would say A on that. A.
A is correct. Reminded me, there was an extrapolation of that, became even more famous, the Casey Stengel quote, and of course, that was Tommy Lasorda talking about Kurt Bavacqua, where with dripping sarcasm, he says, Bavacqua? He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. You have 1 point, Mike, going for 2.
All right, Sports Mike, true or false? The late, great Gene Hackman, who portrayed a basketball coach in Hoosiers, grew up in San Bernardino, California, but he said he studied for the role of the coach by watching films and speaking engagements of Coach Hank Stram of the Chiefs. True or false?
I'll say true.
True, he says? No, made that up. Sounded like a phony.
Made it up.
Yeah. All right, very good. 1 going for 4 here. Andy, by the way, and we should issue the disclaimer. We are allowed to change the rules at any time, but that we have a grand champion that if you sweep and win the game, you get both a Texas Roadhouse and a Landlubber's gift certificate. Now, Lubie is promising this.
Yeah, I know.
Idle speculation on his
100% blind.
right, 3-point question.
I really need
I don't know. It's an
Hockey.
interesting suggestion.
What NHL player was given the nickname the Road Runner? Was that Yvon Cornway, Maurice Richard, Pavel Bure, or Rod Gilbert?
Cornway.
Had to be Yvonne. Yeah,
Got that one.
very nice. 4 going for 9. The Rocket, of course, was Rod Gilbert. He was great.
All right, this past week was the anniversary of Wilt Chamberlain's 100 points scored at Hershey, Pennsylvania. He scored it against the Knicks, and 3 different centers tried to stop him. Which of the following was
Not. Wow.
one that guarded him in that game? Willie Knowles, Darryl Limhoff, Phil Jordan, or Cleveland Bruckner?
Letter C. Letter
C.
C.
See,
Phil Jordan.
Correct.
That's
Oh,
right.
no.
He was the starter, but he was hurt.
Billy Paultz wasn't in that game.
No,
No.
he was not.
God, Mike, strong start. Nice.
Whopper. All right, very good. 9 points, Mike. Only buffaloed by Gurggles. Very trickeration laced. True-false question. So you can dial us up if you want to play. It's 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. If you'd like to play the trivia challenge, we have a gift certificate we're giving away for our champion. But more importantly, especially for those, as we said, that are new to the game here on a very broad audience that we have established already here on Bleacher Brothers, the distinction of being a champion. I mean, look, Lenny became legendary. We're still 2 weeks after his passing, stunned in disbelief that we're not going to see him show up tonight and say, "Hey guys, how you doing?"
Chronic's weirding me out. Like, it weirds me out. I thought about it yesterday. I was just thinking about, I'm like, what, guy, it's just weird to not have Chronic.
Yeah, I mean, and guys are checking out right and left. It's really incredible. Our good friend I wanted to pay tribute to. I don't know if you knew this guy, Dave Gurggles Gergely. I think you may have met him, Lubie. Harold Hackey Reitman.
Yes.
Fighting physician.
We had him on.
Who I've known for years. And what was very interesting, this was a sophisticated orthopedic surgeon who eventually went on a great fortune. I think he started like Health South or, one of these collections of hospitals and profited greatly. He was very generous with his time. But while he was a sophisticated doctor during the daytime, he preferred to talk like Joe Palooka at night. Because he wanted to be a doctor. I don't want to say he was in a bunch of setup fights, but that one against Trevor Berbick was certainly somewhat questionable, I would have to say. But anyway, may he rest in peace. We wanted to mention that checked out at like 74, Gurggles. It's a number that's very near and dear to my heart, I can assure you.
I know. The politician Ballard was just 70.
Oh,
He
yeah.
passed away. When you hear people
Ballard
pass
was
away
that?
and they go,
Diaz Ballard.
well, he lived a good life. He was 70. I'm going, wait a minute. We're already past that mark.
We're on overtime, man. Borrowed time. All right, here's our next set of questions. Dave Gurggles Gergely.
All right, speaking of that, boxing. This boxing manager doing his best Yogi Berra imitation once said, you can sum up this sport in 2 words. You never know. Lou Duva, Lou Pinella, Lou Brock, or Brock Ewart?
All right. Random phone scrambler lands on Key Largo Dave. Going to Key Largo. Key Largo Dave, you're on the trivia challenge here. Good morning, sir.
Hey, thanks guys for having me.
Hey, is correct. How are things in Key Largo? This must be
Way to go, Dave.
an absolutely splendid day down there, no?
One of my
Oh,
favorite movies, too, with Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall,
Yeah.
Key Largo. Great movie.
What a spot. All right, you have
All
1
right.
point. You're in the game. Here we go.
Football. Let's take you down
All
to
right.
the Keys. 81-year-old Jimmy Johnson, who just announced his retirement from Fox Sports, has just been inked to a 2-year deal as a spokesperson for Margaritaville with the stipulation that all the commercials will be shot in the Keys. True or false?
God, that's such a good thing.
Ooh. Oh, sounds too good to be true, but I'm going to say true.
No,
Has
I
to
made
be
that one up
false.
too.
I was going to
We
say.
make that one
That's
up.
a big
That
chill
sounds
down there.
Jimmy
It's,
Johnson.
big success. You think he's going to endorse some bum, some bust-out hippie like Jimmy Buffett? May he rest in peace. Come on.
Oh, God. For sure he would. If you didn't have to leave the keys.
Don't
Unbelievable.
say anything
I thought it was going to be for like a
down.
fishing lure, Gurggles. I would have believed that. I would have thought that to be true. All right, 1 going for 4.
Baseball, Dave. Who's the only player in history to hit a walk-off inside the park grand slam home run?
Oh,
Wow.
A, Roberto Clemente, B, Willie Mays, C, Lou Brock, or D, Hector Lopez?
Oh, Jesus.
Drew and Hector. Interesting.
Ooh, I'm going Hector Lopez.
Yeah, that's random.
No,
Could have
I
been
threw him
Hector. I
in.
would say Lou
That
Brock.
says a Yankee fan. Roberto Clemente did
I
it
was
against
gonna
the
say
Cubs,
Clemente.
1956.
Wow.
All right, shot at 6
Wow.
points if you get this one right.
Yeah,
Key
put you
Largo
on the
Dave.
spot.
All right, let's hope you have a little more luck with golf. The Arnold Palmer Invitational event, which is this weekend, was
Starts
founded
today.
in 1979 as a successor to which of the following events?
Good
The
one.
Orlando Open, the Disney Classic, the Florida Citrus Open, or the Sunshine State Open. So
Wow.
the Arnold Palmer Invitational replaced this.
That last one sounds like Gordon Soley made it up.
Wow. I'm going to go with C.
See,
Right. Well
Yes.
done, Dave.
oh, nice,
The
Dave.
Florida Citrus
No
Open.
kidding.
Good start, my friend. If you're in the finals, I'll give you a call. Thanks a lot.
All right, we'll try and get another player in here, so we at least have a 3 spot on the board. We got to Dave a little bit late. Stuck in traffic in Miami Lakes, 3/10 of a mile from the course. You could have walked there faster. Wasn't that always a thing in New York? Yeah, I could have walked there faster. Well, then why didn't you, you lazy slop? It would have been better off, and there would have lessened the burden on the rest of the people who were trying to fight traffic. Perdomo Cigars, no doubt you'll be lighting one up. I don't know what your dates are for Keeneland. I am planning a trip there as well.
Yes, and
So,
I'll be taking some with me this weekend as I attend the Tampa Bay Derby.
Oh, great. Wow.
Matter of fact, I'm doing a Beat the Broadcaster tomorrow. I'll be at Crandon Park, and I'll be lighting one up there at Key Biscayne for the Outboard Motor Classic and their charities. And then on the road, probably, how long did it used to take you to get to Tampa? 3:45, 4 hours?
4 hours
Yeah.
now.
So I'll be on the road probably Saturday morning between 5:30 and 6, get a cup of coffee, stop at a Waffle House somewhere up the road, and go to the Tampa Bay Derby, join some friends from Pennsylvania, and a guy I coached football. He coached football, I coached basketball. I'm going to meet up with him. I haven't seen him since 1976.
Wow.
But the Perdomo horse, if you listened closely last week, my first Perdomo horse was a horse called Fort Washington. 5-2 morning line, paid a nifty $13 as he got up at the wire for
Wow.
Junior Alvarado.
I still hear you
The
screaming.
wire didn't fare so well in the Fountain of Youth, but this week, on my way to Tampa, Perdomo horse for you. In the 9th race, Georgie Ruiz in the Hillsborough Grade 3 is on the grass for a horse called Sparkle Blue, the one horse. Take a look at him. And a horse that broke his maiden's got a shot in the Tampa Bay Derby, a horse called Smudge. But whether you remember those or not, you should remember where Perdomo Cigars is located. 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the south side, a little bit east of the Home Depot. And with the nice cool weather we've got, nothing goes better like a Perdomo cigar. You can visit them in person, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Weekend, you want to get one? Not a problem. Go online, www.perdomocigars.com, to find the retailer that sells these great cigars. So today, tomorrow, or during the Tampa Bay Derby, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
Sparkle Blue and Smudge.
Sparkle Blue in the Derby, but the one I like better, and he's going to be a price. Sparkle Blue is going to be a price, and Smudge will be a price as well.
Right.
Both of them a little bit. Smudge has got Dylan Davis for Norm Cassie, and Sparkle Blue is Ruiz, I think, for Graham Motion.
The great Lee Pete used to say on a Proline show all the time as he turned to a guy who looked like he slept in the trunk of his car, the man is on fire. And there was a time there where you were hitting these Perdomo horses one after another, like at big, big prices too. The Polyman, his jaw would drop and say, "You did it again, Gurggles. You did it again." All right, we're going to play one more here in the game, in the body of the game. Then, of course, we have the postseason coming up, which doesn't last forever like it does in most sports. I'm thinking, wow, do I have the stamina to last through 4 series of NBA playoff basketball, best of 7s, especially opening round mismatches? All right, here we go. Next set of questions. Dave Gurggles Gergely.
College football. This former FSU coach, philosophizing, once said, there are 3 things that are bad for you. I can't remember the first 2, but donuts are the third. What's that? Bill Peterson, Fritz Peterson, Mike Kekich, or Mike Green?
Rolling a scrambler, Lubie, one more time. And we fill out the field with Andy. You're on the trivia challenge. Good morning, Andy.
Hey, first time caller, long time degenerate.
He's on the money as usual. You have 1 point. You're in the game, and would this be your third consecutive sweep if you get them all?
Yeah, he swept.
Hoops, Andy.
Regular.
As we mentioned before, this week marks the 63 years since Wilt Chamberlain scored his 100 points versus the Knicks in Hershey, Pennsylvania. But believe it or not, that game was the second game of a doubleheader that night in Hershey. The first game was an exhibition game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Colts. True or false?
Oh, God.
I know it's true.
True.
That's right.
It's true. All right.
That's right. They were trying to bolster the attendance. They only had 4,000, but the basketball was the Eagles and Colts first.
His streak continues.
Nice, Andy, man.
All right. 3-point question. Eddie, we want to know if you can name the only modern era Hall of Fame pitcher who over a 3-year span led his league in wins the first year, losses the second year, and wins again in the third. Hal Newhouser, Lefty Gomez, Phil Niekro, or Joe Niekro?
Oh, God.
I got to go with Phil Niekro.
That's what I would say. No?
No, it was the oldest one. Hal Newhouser.
Oh, wow.
26-9 with the Tigers, 17-17, and then 21-12.
Didn't he have the
I
school
think
of
it was grand
communication?
sweep.
They're
Go ahead.
grand sweep. Yeah,
All right, here we go.
Hey, oh, it snapped. Yeah, in half right there.
Grand sweep done.
And I know you're probably a Knicks fan.
But how about
Your
this? This
5-point
game,
question.
this game never fails to
After
deliver.
Wilt's 100 game on March 2nd, the Warriors then on March 4th, 2 days later, had a return match with the Knicks, this time in Madison Square Garden.
Mhm.
And then the Knicks gave a standing ovation in that game to
Ooh.
Wilt Chamberlain, Coach Frank McGuire, Darrell Imhoff, or Guy Rogers.
Oh, God.
Jeez. I'll go with Imhoff.
Imhoff.
Darrell Imhoff.
That's right.
You
It
love
was
him.
sarcastic
Wow.
because they gave him a standing ovation because he held Wilt to 58 points.
Well, Andy, you edge out our guy.
Nice job, Andy. All right, that sets up Andy versus Mike.
Yes.
The championship here of this week's edition of the Trivia Challenge. Interesting stuff there, Gurggles, all the way through. As I'm thinking Guy Rogers probably got some kind of salute. and that's why the standing ovation occurred. But
Guy Rogers that game, no, Al Adams that game, I think went 8 for 8 from the field and 1 for 1 for the free throw line. And York Larisi got taken out because he wouldn't pass it to Chamberlain. And during that game, each team was fouling each other. The Knicks were fouling everybody but Chamberlain, and then the Sixers or the Warriors fouled everybody in the Knicks to get the ball back.
remarkable stuff, and amazing. You were able to derive like 6 questions from that one game. that's great research on the part of one Dave Gurggles Gergely. All right, set for the finals here. Here's the way it works. Dave's going to fire off a question. Guys, call out your name if you want to answer right away. If nobody answers right away, we offer multiple choice. The first person to call out his name gets first chance. We go back and forth until we have a winner for the championship and a gift certificate and all the prizes and accolades that go along with it of this week's edition of the Trivia Challenge. Here is Dave Gurggles Gergely.
Good luck, guys. Key Largo Dave and Andy. And let's go back to golf.
Mike and Andy.
Again, this weekend is a great Arnold Palmer Invitational. I happened to meet him at the Mohican Sun shooting craps one day. Of course, it was 7 out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But in 1971, 8 years before he became the host, Arnold Palmer won the event. And he won by just 1 shot over.
Ooh. Wow. Wow. Anybody? All right, here's multiple choice.
Gary Player, Billy Casper, Julius Boros, or Lionel Hebert.
Mike.
Mike? Who was it?
He got Mike.
Gary Player.
Gary
Player.
No.
Incorrect. 3 left for Andy.
Billy Casper,
No,
Julius Boros, or Lionel Hebert.
Julius Boros.
He's going with
Julius
Julius Burroughs.
Julius
Burroughs.
Burroughs.
That's exactly correct.
Nice, Andy.
Yes,
He
very
is the
good.
forerunner of the
Good job, Andy, man.
smoothest
You're a
swing
winner
to Fred
today. Thank
Couple,
you.
Julius Boros.
I think if you watch and follow trends, betting trends on this show, Dave, you always have a favorable position about Julius Burroughs for some reason. What was it? His son that you were palling around with on golf?
No,
course?
it's not. Jim Boros is no relation to him. He had a son named, I think, Jay Boros that played, But Jimmy, I'll see when I go up to Pennsylvania. But he's no relation. But he did play on the PGA Tour.
Okay, yeah, but there has been over the years many Julius Burris references, and it's not as if you're bringing up Dow Finsterwald with that kind of regularity. So that was a good spot by Andy to sniff that out. All right, you have fun, Tampa Bay Derby. Are you going to Burns Steakhouse? That's always the question.
No, I'm going to go.
Mom's Venus? What were
doing the
your
tournament
inclination?
tomorrow? Key Biscayne on the road early Saturday, and then at the Tampa Bay, I'll have dinner with some friends then, and then Sunday I'm going to help out a young lady whose parents I knew, and they're running some charity event, and the mom and dad are 95 and 96 years old.
Oh, mazel tov.
Wow,
and I got the mom a Steagles T-shirt. She's an Eagles fan. And I got the dad a golf shirt as well. So we're looking forward to a great weekend up in Tampa, gentlemen. You have a great weekend as well.
All right, thanks. Dave Gurggles Gergely, the trivia challenge for this week. A lot of fun being with you guys on this fine Thursday. Tomorrow we'll feature the professor with some college basketball plays, which is it getting more interesting, Lubie? I still haven't stirred the pot at the bottom. I like to start right at the bottom when I'm trying to assess who might win a couple of games. I mean, could you have come up with Fairleigh Dickinson a couple of years ago? They opened up against Purdue. I think Purdue was a number 2 seed. They get hammered.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And what happened to that guy? He became a coach somewhere else. He got a bigger job than Fairleigh Dickinson, but not prominent enough. The coach of that team, he was kind of a wild man.
Oh, God, no idea.
And his name completely is escaping me right now. But nonetheless, I always love that aspect of the thing. I mean, if you were going to talk about an event that delivers on many fronts, that's part of the excitement, too. The number of coaches that you were introduced to that started to make some kind of run, maybe even only winning a couple of games in the tournament. But it was so monumental what they were able to accomplish that the coach became a big star in many, many cases. Went on to a great distinction in both colleges and pro ranks. So always interesting, that aspect of the tournament. But you can only find those guys, Lubie, by checking out some of these so-called weenie conferences, no?
Yes.
Yeah, so, and they're in action already. They already have shit, stuff going on.
Yeah, their conference tourneys are this week, and then the Power 5 or whatever the fuck you call them. Pardon my French again.
Yeah.
The Power, whatever it is in college basketball, the major conferences, they start next week. I think Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, and some of these smaller ones are already like reaching the quarterfinals. So, is Long Island University listed as Long Island on the crawl on the? Because I always had like a very faint passing interest in LIU basketball for some reason.
God, I don't know.
All right, we'll find a weenie team, our weenie team, to pull off at least one and maybe two surprises. I guess it wouldn't be a Cinderella story until they got to that second win, no? And Sweet 16, which
you go to the 16s is when you consider it like a Cinderella.
Yeah, you have to win 2 stinking games to get to the Sweet 16.
An upset's cool. We like upsets, but they're not calling you a Cinderella unless you get to the second weekend.
You have to. Yes, absolutely. All right. We will see you guys tomorrow. A lot of fun being with you today. Thanks so much for tuning in. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, Dave Gurggles Gergely, I'm Jeff DeForest, and we'll see you tomorrow as we leave here. Now that.
The time.
You believe that? 3 straight pitches, Lubie. The guy's being interviewed by like some guy in a T-shirt. It's all very casual. He's a pretty competitive, fiery guy, too, isn't he, Thompson? Although very gentlemanly like. So he would be. And you're just watching, like your eyeballs are popping out of your head. Are you kidding me? Lizardo, what did we pay for this cat? I thought he was good.
Oh, my God.
They can't wait to designate this guy to like Wilmington or wherever they have like a farm team. He's already on a bus before the interview's over. He's only thrown 2 pitches so far. All right. We'll see you next time as we leave you on that. Did we do that already, Lily?
We did.
There you go. Very strange Johnny Hattie there. It's 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.